Meet Doohan. He's not just any lawyer. He's the youngest prosecutor in all of South Korea. This guy lives the absolute dream. He drives a high-end, top-tier luxury car, rocks bespoke suits handcrafted by British designers, and dines on the finest gourmet cuisine Korea has to offer. On the surface, he looks like your typical wealthy playboy, carefree, reckless, and totally unbothered. But don't let the flashy lifestyle fool you. Behind the scenes, he's actually the shadow leader of the Watchers, a secret vigilante group that monitors every single move made in the city of Seoul. Being a prosecutor, he's mastered the art of playing the part, acting just a bit extra and nonchalant. Check out the way he enjoys this massive feast. He even stops to snap a perfectly staged selfie for social media. Truly a life worth envying. But just as he's about to dig in, his phone rings. He's dying to ignore it, but he doesn't dare. Why? Because it's his big boss calling. And get this, before answering, he actually pinches his nose and holds his breath. Why? Because he doesn't want to waste the vibe of his expensive meal. Unfortunately, his boss isn't impressed by his antics. He's ordered back to the courthouse immediately. The second he hits the door, Doohan can hear his boss's furious screams echoing from inside. For the sake of his own secret agenda, he sucks it up and walks in, only to be gifted a massive headache by his superior. Here's what went down. Moments ago, a man armed with a knife stormed into the police station, acting like a complete lunatic and demanding to confess. Everyone was too terrified to move until a female officer stepped up with pure nerves of steel. With just a few words, she talked him down and got him to drop the knife. Her name is Suji, but on the streets, they call her the Mad Cop. During the interrogation, the man, Woo Sung, drops a bombshell. He claims he's the real killer from a supermarket murder case that happened 12 years ago. The kicker? The prosecutor in charge of that original case was none other than the man standing right in front of Doohan, Section Chief Gwang Ho, nicknamed the Baldy. If this man's story is true, it means the case from 12 years ago was a total wrongful conviction. This would mean every cop and prosecutor involved back then is cooked. That's exactly why the boss is throwing a temper tantrum in his office. Gwang Ho was planning to pull some strings with the chief prosecutor to sweep this under the rug, but Doohan jumped in and took the case first. His real goal? Using this mess to get an introduction to the chief prosecutor himself. Meanwhile, the police are questioning Woo Sung's family. But when the topic of the murder comes up, they deny everything. Suji and her captain suspect the family might have helped destroy evidence. They need to find DNA on the murder weapon to prove it. Right then, Doohan walks in with a file, cold-bloodedly telling them that the DNA is long gone. As the prosecutor, he orders them to drop the investigation and release the innocent man immediately. Suji isn't having it. She pulls out the old case files and tells Doohan that things aren't as simple as they look. She's determined to keep digging. Her captain seemingly sides with Doohan, promising to send over the documents tomorrow. But when Doohan's back is turned, the two of them track down another witness from the past. After a life-threatening high-speed chase, Suji manages to take down Woo Sung's accomplice. Just as they're about to head back, their driver, Cho, tells them there's a major car accident up ahead. Suji steps out to check the scene and sees someone has fallen from a building. At that moment, a small shoe falls off a stretcher. Her heart stops. That's the exact same shoe she gave her daughter for Children's Day. She loses it, fighting past the police to get a closer look. There, lying on the stretcher covered in injuries, is her little girl. As her daughter is rushed to the ER, the police tell Suji it was an accident, that the girl climbed to the roof and slipped. But Suji knows her daughter. She isn't buying the accident story for 1 second. Her daughter has been terrified of heights since she was a toddler. The poor girl was even too scared to play on a swing set. So how on earth could she have gone up to a rooftop all by herself? Under Suji's intense questioning, the officer can't find a good answer and makes a lame excuse to bail. Slumping against the hospital wall, Suji can't hold back the tears anymore. Memories of her daughter start flooding back like a tidal wave. Just this morning, the little girl was playfully waking her up before she left for work. They had breakfast together, laughing. After school, she was even bragging to her friends about how her mom is a cool police officer. But now, that same little girl is lying in a hospital bed, clinging to life with machines doing the breathing for her. Suji would give anything to take all that pain onto herself. Right then, a mysterious text lights up her phone. The message claims that her daughter's fall wasn't an accident. It was intentional. Then, a video file arrives. In the footage, it's clear as day. A high school boy is leading her daughter out of the building. Suji rushes to show the video to her daughter. The second the little girl sees the boy's face, she starts shaking uncontrollably with pure terror. Suji grips her hand tight, promising her right then and there, she will catch this monster with her own 2 hands. That night, Suji sprints to the station and shows the video to the prosecutor. She's in tears, begging him to issue a search warrant for all the nearby schools shown in the video. But the prosecutor cold-bloodedly shuts her down. His excuse? There's no hard evidence that she was actually pushed. Suji is livid. Her daughter literally identified the attacker. Is there any testimony more powerful than a victim's own reaction? The next day, with the prosecutor's reluctant help, Suji and the other officers hit the streets, handing out flyers to find witnesses. A high school student walks past her, and Suji notices a specific sticker on his backpack. Her heart stops. She remembers that very morning, her daughter had placed an identical sticker on her forehead to wake her up. Suji chases him down, demanding to know why he pushed her child off that building. But the kid plays it cool, putting on an innocent angel act and pretending he has no idea what's going on. Suddenly, the kid's mother pulls up to pick him up after school. Seeing the commotion, she rushes over to stop Suji. Suji shows her the photo as proof of the boy's actions. The mother recognizes her son instantly, but instead of seeking the truth, she immediately goes into cover-up mode. She drops a massive bombshell. The boy's father is the chief prosecutor of Seoul. She then looks at Suji with total disdain and walks away with her son like they're untouchable. Eun-jung pulls Suji aside and warns her that things just got incredibly complicated. They've officially poked a hornet's nest, but Suji isn't backing down. She and Eun-jung head to the rooftop to reconstruct the crime scene. There, she finds a pile of shredded paper. She recognizes it instantly. It's a drawing her daughter made. She remembers the night before the incident. Her daughter had asked what her dad looked like. She wanted to send him a letter but didn't have an address. In a moment of heartbreak, Suji had blurted out that he was in heaven. So, the little girl folded her letter into a paper airplane and made a deal with Suji to go closer to heaven on Children's Day to fly it to him. But that day, Suji was so caught up in a chase for a criminal that she stood her daughter up. While grandma wasn't looking, the little girl snuck out alone and crossed paths with this high schooler, Sherwan. Because of her fear of heights, she had asked Sherwan to lead her to the highest point possible so she could reach her dad. But Suji didn't realize that Sherwan was a cold-blooded psychopath who would actually push her off. Suji is crushed by a mountain of guilt. She feels like her lie about heaven and missing their date is what indirectly caused this tragedy. It was her own inability to admit they were abandoned that led to this nightmare. Just then, Eun-jung finds the torn-up letter. He asks Suji to think hard. Did she ever have a run-in with Sherwan before this? Suji flashes back to a day she picked her daughter up from school. She remembers Sherwan's eyes, a cold, soul-piercing stare that would give anyone the chills. Right at that moment, the captain calls with a shocking update. Sherwan has voluntarily walked into the police station. He admits he was on the rooftop that day, but his story? He claims he was only there because the little girl begged him to take her. Next, the kid starts putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, playing the victim and spinning a web of lies. He claims the little girl slipped and fell all on her own, and that he had absolutely nothing to do with it. Suji reaches her breaking point. She storms into the interrogation room, lunges at Sherwan, and demands to know why he killed her daughter. Sherwan stays dead silent. But then, while everyone is struggling to pull them apart, he bows his head and lets out a chilling, sinister smile. Suji catches it. Just as she's about to attack him again, her phone rings. It's the hospital. Her daughter didn't make it. You know what happens when a person hits the absolute rock bottom of grief? They don't cry. They just go completely numb. Standing there, looking at her daughter's lifeless body, Suji is in total denial. Just a few days ago, she was picking her up from school like usual, reading her bedtime stories, and making plans to fly that letter to her dad. Now, all she can do is touch her daughter's cold, bruised face. As the body is taken to be cremated, everyone around her is sobbing their hearts out, but Suji doesn't shed a single tear. Her eyes have been bone dry for a long time. She takes her daughter's funeral portrait straight to the courthouse, shouting to the media that her child was murdered. She's ready to sue the killer, Sunro's son, the son of the chief prosecutor himself. But the chief prosecutor standing nearby couldn't care less about her accusations. He heartlessly orders security to kick her out. In the chaos of the scuffle, her daughter's portrait hits the ground and shatters into a million pieces. She didn't cry when her daughter died. She didn't cry at the cremation. But when she realizes her last hope for justice has just been smashed, Suji, the woman her colleagues call the mad cop, finally breaks. She collapses, clutching the broken photo, and wails in absolute agony. Her soul-crushing screams are enough to move anyone with a heart. Leaving the court, Suji is like a ghost. She pulls her police badge from her pocket and tosses it straight into the trash. What's the point of being a cop? She couldn't protect her own daughter, and she can't even arrest the killer. Justice? That's a joke. She realizes that, in this country, The law is only meant to tie the hands of ordinary people like her. If the law won't punish the murderer, she'll have to take revenge her own way. She grabs a gun and heads to Sherwan's school, aiming right at him. The kid tries to fight back, stabbing her hand with a pen to escape the classroom. But Suji's reflexes are faster. She fires a warning shot that freezes him in his tracks. She drags him to the window, her hands tightening around his throat. Even with a fire of pure rage burning inside her, Suji hesitates to pull the trigger. At that moment, Sherwan's mother rushes in, throwing herself on the ground and begging Suji to spare her son. Her captain is there too, pleading with her to put the gun down. Finally, Suji's heart softens, and she lowers the weapon. The captain seizes the chance to disarm her and slaps on the handcuffs. The killer is now the victim, and the real victim is now a crazy shooter. The irony is sickening, but it's not over. Sherwan clearly lacks a brain because, as he's leaving, he actually mouths a taunt to Suji. In a flash, Suji grabs the gun back and fires a shot that nearly sends him to meet the devil. This kid is bad news. He's even been out here scattering nails on the road. But karma comes for him fast. The pain in his leg has him stumbling around like a headless chicken. And things are about to get even crazier. Meet Kyung-soo and Bowie. One is a genius hacker for the Watchers who can break into any device on the planet. The other is a shut-in suffering from agoraphobia who lives alone and monitors every single security camera in Seoul. These two are the ultimate dream team. There isn't a system they can't crack. Their mission today? Rescue Suji. But Kyung-soo gets a bit clumsy and accidentally dumps the entire bag of nails on the road. When Sun A, who's driving Suji, speeds over them, the car flips violently. Both women are knocked unconscious on the spot. When Suji finally comes to, she finds herself in a dimly lit basement. Right in front of her is a teenager, totally glued to his phone, playing Honor of Kings. This kid is so obsessed that even when Suji holds a pair of scissors to his throat, he doesn't even blink. He actually has the nerve to say, "Hold on, let me hit King rank first." Talk about a hardcore gamer. Thanks to a heads up from Bowie, Suji realizes these two are actually the mysterious duo who sent her that video at the hospital. Kyung-soo immediately pulls up the live surveillance on Sherwan. And it's not good news. The kid is under heavy police protection. Because of Suji's impulsive attack, the narrative has completely flipped. Sherwan is now the innocent victim, and Suji is a wanted fugitive for attempted murder. With Sunro pulling the strings, the media is having a field day dragging her name through the mud. Overnight, she becomes public enemy number one, while the murder of her daughter is completely erased from the conversation. Seeing she has nowhere else to go, Bowie makes her an offer. Join their secret organization, the Watchers, is her only path to true revenge. Suji becomes the boots on the ground, while Bowie and Kyung-soo provide the high-tech intel from the shadows. For a whole year, the trio works in perfect sync, taking down one criminal after another. Meanwhile, the villain Sunro is failing upward, becoming the front-runner for the next chief prosecutor position. But despite his growing power, Suji's thirst for justice hasn't faded. For the past year, she's been living in a hideout right across from Sherwan's luxury villa, watching his every move. She's just waiting for him to slip up so she can be the one to drag him to a cell. The next day, the team gets a new mission. The target is a man who was a deadbeat criminal just a year ago, but now, he's driving high-end cars, living in a mansion, and flaunting a young mistress. His name is Woo Sung, the real killer from that supermarket murder case 12 years ago. Back then, after the murder, he bumped into a delivery guy while making his getaway. That poor guy picked up something he shouldn't have and ended up being framed for the murder. Baldy Gwang Ho knew the kid was innocent, but he beat a confession out of him anyway to close the case. A year ago, Woo Sung actually tried to confess because someone was blackmailing him, but under Gwang Ho's orders, the police were forced to let him walk. Now, Woo Sung is living like royalty on a mountain of hush money, while the innocent delivery guy is still rotting in a prison cell, writing desperate appeals. His grandmother spent every waking hour at the police station trying to clear his name, until her body finally gave out and she collapsed from exhaustion. And get this, the person who originally threatened Woo Sung to confess? It was Do-han. He used the case as a chess piece to get close to the chief prosecutor and settle his own blood feud. But now that a year has passed, Woo Sung is no longer useful. Do-han isn't about to let a murderer get away scot-free. Suji has Kyung-soo track down Woo Sung's address. Staying one step ahead, she installs a hidden camera right at his front door. Through the feed, she catches his keypad password clear as day. The moment Woo Sung leaves, Suji slips inside. She finds family photos on the wall, but here's the weird part. His wife and daughter are nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Bowie alerts her that Woo Sung is meeting someone. Suji looks at the monitor and recognizes the man instantly. It's the same guy she chased before, Wu Sung's accomplice, and another witness to the supermarket murder. She tells Kyung-soo to hack into Wu Sung's phone immediately to listen in. With a few expert keystrokes, Kyung-soo is in. They overhear the two men plotting a kidnapping, but they don't say who the target is. One thing is for sure. Wu Sung's own wife and child have completely vanished. Suji has a hunch that Wu Sung is planning to murder his own sister just to collect the insurance money. The next day, she tails him like a shadow. Meanwhile, Kyung-soo pulls an all-nighter digging through Wu Sung's texts and emails, and he discovers something even more twisted. The person Wu Sung is planning to kidnap isn't his sister, it's his own daughter. Just as the team is processing this shock, the kidnappers spot the little girl leaving school. They pull a sharp U-turn and snatch her right off the street. Snapping into gear, Suji floors it. Seeing the child crying helplessly through the van window hits Suji right in the heart, bringing back the painful memories of her own daughter. She grabs a metal bar and shatters the van's window, forcing the vehicle to a screeching halt. She tries to pry the door open to save the girl, but the kidnapper slams it shut and guns the engine. In a desperate move, Suji grabs onto the roof rack and is dragged along as the van speeds away. The kidnapper flings the door open, gets into a brutal scuffle with her, and lands a vicious kick that sends her tumbling onto the asphalt. Before she can even catch her breath, a massive semi-truck barrels straight toward her. Just when everyone thinks she's about to be crushed, the truck screeches to a halt just inches away. Narrowly avoiding certain death, a shaken Suji stumbles toward her motorcycle, pulls a sharp turn, and gets right back into the chase. Bowie warns Suji that when she crossed that last intersection, she was caught on camera. The police department has mobilized a massive manhunt, but here's the kicker. They aren't looking for the kidnappers. They're coming for Suji. Bowie begs her to take a shortcut and escape while she still can. But Suji isn't budging. There's only one child, and she refuses to let her die. Between saving the girl and getting arrested, she chooses the girl every single time. She knows exactly how it feels to lose a child, and she won't let it happen again. Soon, a swarm of police cars catches up, trying to box her in. Facing a sea of flashing lights behind her, Suji doesn't show a hint of fear. This time, she will not break her promise. Right at the critical moment, Kyung-soo works his magic. He hacks into the city's traffic light system. As Suji approaches, he flips the light to green, and the second she's through, he slams it back to red, effectively cutting off the entire police fleet. This god-tier play even has Sunny cheering in amazement. Suji follows the van into a large building, but after one sharp turn, she loses them. She's frantic. Bowie can only see the street cameras, and the building's internal security has a firewall that even Kyung-soo can't crack immediately. With no other choice, Suji drives through the lot, searching desperately. She passes the kidnapper's van, but the girl is already gone. Suddenly, Kyung-soo intercepts a text from Wu Sung. The girl has been locked inside a refrigerated shipping container. When Suji arrives at the loading dock, she's met with rows upon rows of identical delivery trucks. She yells for Kyung-soo to identify which one belongs to the driver, Myung-hoon. After a frantic search, Kyung-soo finds a detail. Myung-hoon's driver's seat has a tiger skin cover. Even with that, the place is a maze. Finally, luck is on her side. As she passes one truck, she spots that tiger skin cover. She sprints to the back and starts pounding on the heavy doors. Inside, the little girl is already huddled in a ball, shivering violently from the sub-zero temperatures. She hears Suji's voice and weakly crawls toward the door, crying out for her mommy, her tiny face already covered in frost. Suji finds a wooden club and hammers at the lock, but after just a few hits, the club snaps in half. Inside, the girl can't handle the numbing cold anymore and collapses once again. Seeing the door won't budge, Suji breaks down into gut-wrenching sobs. But then, she spots a heavy chain on the rear bumper. She doesn't waste another second. It's a matter of life and death. She hooks one end to the freezer door and the other to her motorcycle. She revs the engine to the limit, flooring the throttle until the sheer force rips the door right off its hinges. She rushes inside and pulls the freezing girl into her arms. But in her heart, she's whispering the name of her own daughter. The little girl is safe. The little girl tells Doohan that an angel in white was her savior. Meanwhile, Suji is already on the hunt, tracking Wu Sung down. Bowie tracks him to the supermarket where his wife works, and that's when the pieces finally fall into place. Kidnapping his own daughter was just bait. His ultimate goal was to silence his wife. Turns out, during a night of drunk driving, Wu Sung let it slip that he was the real killer in that supermarket murder case years ago. His wife couldn't live with the guilt. She wanted to find prosecutor Eun-jung and tell him the truth, because she didn't want their daughter to have a murderer for a father. To get his revenge, Wu Sung used their child to blackmail her. His ultimatum was simple. If the daughter lives, the wife has to die. The wife tries to grab her seatbelt and bolt, but Woo-sung has already deadlocked the doors. No matter how hard she pounds on the glass, he doesn't flinch. But just in time, Suji catches up. With Kyung-soo hacking the system, Woo-sung's car loses control, gets rear-ended by another vehicle, and is forced to stop. Just as a massive truck is about to plow into them from the opposite lane, Suji arrives. The terrified wife tries to run, but a dazed Woo-sung grabs her by the hair and drags her out. Seeing this, Suji delivers a massive kick that sends him flying 5 meters away. And she's not done. She unleashes a brutal flurry of punches and kicks, venting all her rage on Woo-sung. When the police finally swarm the scene, Suji is forced to use Woo-sung as a human shield. It's a tense standoff until Doohan steps forward. He acts like a total jerk, being aggressive towards Suji, but he's actually positioning himself to shield her from the sniper's line of fire. Suji, however, doesn't realize he's trying to help. After cussing him out, she shoves Woo-sung toward him and makes a break for it. But as she's crossing the street, she gets plowed into by a car. By the time people rush over to help, she has vanished without a trace. Seeing the mother and daughter reunited after such a brush with death is incredibly touching. Even though the child she saved wasn't her own, Suji watches from afar with a satisfied smile. But the peace doesn't last long. Eun-jung gets a call. Woo-sung has escaped. In reality, the corrupt chief prosecutor Sunro secretly let him go. At that very moment, Sunro is holding a press conference, trying to cover the son with a sieve. He paints Suji as a dangerous terrorist to distract everyone from the Woo-sung scandal. Suji figures that since Woo-sung is on the run, he'll head straight to the only person he trusts, his mother. While the team discusses the plan, Kyung-soo tracks down the mother's address. That night, Suji arrives and waits for the mother to leave before slipping inside, gun drawn. She cautiously searches the house, but the second she opens a bedroom door, Woo-sung ambushes her, kicking the gun out of her hand. With the weapon gone, Woo-sung gains the upper hand, pinning Suji down. But Suji isn't someone you want to mess with. She lands a few brutal low blows to his groin, successfully flipping the script. However, Woo-sung is a cornered animal. As he fights back with everything he's got, Suji starts to lose ground. Woo-sung grabs a glass bottle and smashes it over her head. Dazed and blinded by the strike, Suji can't react in time as Woo-sung grabs a steel bar and lunges at her. He puts all his weight into the strike, the metal tip getting closer and closer to her heart. Suddenly, a piercing scream stops him cold. It's his mother. She's back with groceries. Seeing her, Woo-sung doesn't stop. Instead, he tells her to help him finish Suji off. When his mother stands there, paralyzed with horror, Woo-sung loses it and tries to do the job himself. As he lunges again, his mother steps in to stop him, but he heartlessly shoves her to the ground. While Woo-sung is stunned by his own actions, Suji seizes the moment. She delivers a powerful kick that sends him reeling, then follows up with a perfect shoulder throw that knocks him unconscious. As Suji struggles to stand up, she finds herself staring down the barrel of a gun. It's Woo-sung's mother. She doesn't want her son to sink any deeper into darkness, but she can't stand to see anyone hurt him either. In the end, she's just another tragic mother caught in a nightmare. While the two mothers are talking, they have no idea that Woo-sung has already regained consciousness. He's creeping up behind Suji with that steel bar again, ready to deliver a fatal blow. But just as he's about to strike, Kyung-soo bursts in with a taser and zaps Woo-sung into oblivion. Talk about perfect timing. Suji seizes the moment to snatch the gun from the mother's hand. Immediately after, Suji calls her best friend, Sun-ae. In the entire police department, she's the only one Suji still trusts. She asks Sun-ae to arrest Woo-sung in secret. This time, Suji isn't giving the chief prosecutor a single chance to let him walk. This is the first time these two sisters have spoken since Suji became a fugitive, and the emotions are high. They miss each other like crazy. They were supposed to be out there fighting crime together, but fate played a cruel joke, putting them on opposite sides of the law. The next day, Suji sends Sunro a little gift for his big press conference. Just as he's about to speak, every reporter in the room receives a text message. It's a voice recording of Woo-sung from the night before, spilling all the dirty secrets. And it's not just on their phones. Kyung-soo hacks the giant screens in the room to broadcast it for everyone to see. It's a classic flush the snake out of its whole move, using Woo-sung to lure Sunro into the light. But Sunro is a slippery snake. Just when the team thinks they've finally nailed him, he finds a fall guy. He forces Baldy Gwang-ho to resign and take the entire blame for the scandal. All that hard work, and Sunro manages to wiggle out of it again. As they say, old foxes are the hardest to catch. On the bright side, with Gwang-ho out of the picture, Doohan finally gets that promotion he's been eyeing. The scene shifts to a terrifying flashback in a dark forest. A girl is running for her life, frantic and terrified, with a man hot on her heels. She doesn't dare slow down because she knows if he catches her again in these isolated woods, there will be no escape. But just as she reaches the road, a massive truck barrels into her. By the time her parents arrive, their daughter is gone forever. There is no tragedy worse than a parent having to bury their own child. At first, the father thinks it was just a horrible car accident. But then, he overhears two doctors whispering, "It's clearly a car accident. So why is her underwear missing?" That one sentence changes everything. The next day, the father scours the accident site and finds his daughter's underwear. The gut-wrenching truth hits him. His daughter wasn't just hit by a car. She was assaulted first. The poor man collapses, wailing in agony. The light in his life has officially gone out. Despite the police closing the case as a simple traffic accident, the father spends the next 15 years hunting for the killer. He finally catches the monster, and DNA evidence from the underwear proves he's the one. But then comes the ultimate kick in the teeth. The statute of limitations for rape in Korea at the time was only 10 years. Since 15 years had passed, the law couldn't touch him. The killer, a man named Jang-soo, is set free. Jang-soo is a taxi driver, and he hasn't learned a single thing. Instead of repenting, he's become even more brazen, using his cab as a mobile hunting ground for his next prey. But he doesn't realize he's also become the prey of the watchers. Soon enough, a drunk girl stumbles into Jang-soo's taxi. Seeing her passed out, Jang-soo's eyes fill with disgusting lust, and a creepy smirk creeps across his face. He has no clue that Suji is trailing right behind him. He pulls into a secluded alley, robs the girl, and as he's looking at her, he prepares to assault her. But before he can lay a hand on her, Suji appears out of thin air and drops him with a single blow. He tries to get back up, but Suji delivers a brutal kick that knocks him out cold. As he falls, a necklace drops from his pocket. It's the one belonging to the old man's daughter. This freak actually kept it as a trophy. The next day, Kyung-soo uses his hacker skills to blast the evidence all over the internet. With the jewelry store ready to testify about the necklace, Jang-soo is finally about to find out that no one can outrun the law forever. The girl Suji saved doesn't stay silent. She steps forward to testify, confirming to the whole world that her savior was none other than Suji. In an instant, Suji's reputation pulls a total 180. She goes from a wanted fugitive to a national hero in the eyes of the Korean public. With the spotlight back on her, netizens start a massive campaign to bring her daughter's murder case back to the top of the news cycle. Needless to say, life for the Jun family, the corrupt chief prosecutor and his psycho son, just became a living hell. One is being branded a murderer by the entire country, while the other is facing a brutal public hearing. Because of the public outcry, the National Assembly has even stepped in, appointing special investigators to look into the death of Suji's daughter. For the first time in a long time, it looks like justice might actually win. But have you ever known true, paralyzing despair? Imagine watching your own sister being dragged away by a monster while you can do nothing but watch. That is the trauma Bowie carries. Back then, her name was Bojong, a bright and bubbly high school student. She was a natural beauty, and a little bit of makeup made her look like an absolute doll. Since her parents were always busy running their shop, her older sister took on the role of her guardian. Bojong would act annoyed on the outside, but deep down, she loved her sister more than anything. They were a happy, normal family. But all of that was shattered in a single night. In the middle of the night, Bojong got up to use the bathroom when she heard a strange noise coming from her parents' room. When she crept closer, she witnessed a scene that would haunt her for the rest of her life. Her father was being brutally stabbed over and over by a masked man, and her mother was already lying lifeless in a massive pool of blood. Bojong was so terrified she could barely breathe, forcing her hand over her mouth to keep from screaming. But the second she turned to run, the killer caught a glimpse of her. She scrambled into her sister's room, gasping that there was a killer in the house and their parents were dead. Her sister, though terrified, immediately went into protector mode. She shoved Bojong under the bed and gave her a chilling order. "Stay hidden. No matter what happens to me, don't make a sound. You have to survive." She handed Bojong her phone to call the police and then stepped out to lure the killer away. But the second her sister reached the door, the man appeared. He slapped her to the ground and began dragging her out by her legs. Trapped under the bed, Bojong was paralyzed. She could only watch through her tears as her sister was hauled away, her eyes filled with pure hopelessness. Outside, she heard her sister's agonizing screams. Inside, Bojong's heart was breaking as she sobbed in silence. After what felt like an eternity, Bojong finally crawled out. By the time she reached the door, her sister was already lying in a pool of blood. In just one night, her happy family of 4 was reduced to just 1. In that moment, Bojang's soul turned to ash. With trembling hands, she pulled the door shut, unable to even face the world outside that room. From that day on, Bojang developed severe agoraphobia and stopped speaking, locking herself away from a world that had become a forbidden zone. Even though Kyung-soo visited her school later to try to show her the world was still there, he couldn't break through the walls around her heart. The weight on her soul would never lift until the killers were caught. And who were the killers? 2 American soldiers are stationed in Korea. They were greedy for the family's money, so they broke in to rob and kill. One of them had actually been reported to the police by an informant. A simple arrest warrant would have caught them both. But here's where it gets disgusting. The case happened right during a presidential election. To suck up to his superiors and avoid any international drama, Sunro let the 2 soldiers flee back to the US. Because of his political games, the case went cold for years. However, under the new investigation by the leader of the Watchers, a new lead has emerged. This wasn't just a random robbery. It was an inside job, and there was a third person involved, someone the family actually knew. The mission for the Watchers this time is personal. Reopen Bojang's case and bring her back into the light, so she can finally be that innocent, bubbly girl again. Take a look at this guy spending money like it's going out of style. This is Bojang's uncle, Ju-won. After her family was slaughtered, he stepped in as her guardian, sold the family restaurant, and has been living large ever since, driving a massive Hummer and lounging in a luxury mansion. Now, let's look at the suspects. First, there's the family's former chef, currently stuck in a hospital bed with a herniated disc. Then there's Jin-gu, the delivery guy who vanished into thin air right after the murders. And finally, the uncle, Ju-won. But here's the thing, Ju-won had an airtight alibi. He was at a class reunion the night of the crime. This is where Kyung-soo, the team's tech whiz, comes in. With just a few taps on his keyboard, he triggers the mall's alarm system. While Ju-won is standing there confused, Kyung-soo moves in as smoothly as silk and plants a tracker on him without the guy feeling a thing. Kyung-soo tails him all the way home and sets up a surveillance post on the rooftop of the opposite building. But our goofy hacker accidentally falls asleep on the job. Right then, the long-lost delivery guy, Jin-gu, suddenly emerges from the shadows. He lunges at Ju-won and starts choking the life out of him, demanding to know where Bojang is so he can finish her off for good. But Ju-won actually has no clue where she's hiding. Jin-gu then comes up with a twisted plan. Kill the uncle to bait Bojang into showing her face at the funeral. He has no idea that Bojang is watching this entire nightmare unfold through the cameras. Kyung-soo wakes up and realizes things have gone south. He hacks into nearby dash cams and tracks Jin-gu to the apartment complex's parking garage. He's searching everywhere when he looks up and sees something that scares the absolute crap out of him. Jin-gu is right there, sitting in the car directly in front of him. Kyung-soo turns around and starts praying to every god he knows, trying to play it cool. But when he looks back, Jin-gu is drawing a knife. Kyung-soo hits the turbo button and bolts like his life depends on it. Remember, this is a psycho who has already taken 4 lives. If Kyung-soo gets caught, he'll never see Bojang again. He's running so fast he wishes he had 4 legs. Luckily, he's smart enough to duck behind another car at a sharp corner, successfully losing the killer. Meanwhile, Suji has rushed to Bojang's place to check on her. Seeing her uncle being attacked triggered Bojang's trauma, causing a severe asthma attack. Suji arrives to find that Bojang's door is a high-tech fortress. Trying to break it down with force is a pipe dream. She has to pose as a cop to the neighbors, then climbs over the balcony wall to get inside. She finds Bojang collapsed on the floor, gasping for air, and quickly uses a paper bag to help her stabilize her breathing. But as they're recovering, the Karen neighbor next door calls the cops. Their hideout is blown. A massive police force is already screaming toward the building. Suji is frantically packing, but Bojang is frozen in fear, still unable to find the courage to step outside her room. The world has hurt her too much. With no other choice, Suji heads down to the parking garage to act as human bait. She leads the detectives on a wild chase to buy Bojang enough time to escape. By the time Suji loses the heat and circles back, she finds Eun-jung waiting for her. One is trying to enforce justice his own way. The other is driven by a blood feud deeper than the ocean. A cruel twist of fate has turned these 2 former best friends into bitter rivals. Eun-jung knows Suji's playstyle inside and out. He realizes immediately that her previous move was just a diversion to buy time. Now she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. It looks like she's completely cornered with no way out. But with her daughter's murder still unavenged, she refuses to just sit there and die. The moment Eun-jung gets close, she grabs him and shoves him back, delivers a lightning-fast kick to the detective in front of her, and leaps off the edge. She tries to use 2 ropes to swing down, but her landing is far from graceful. she crash lands right into a large planter below. Without wasting a single second, she clutches her dislocated shoulder and tries to bolt. But the detectives are already on her tail. Seeing them close in, Suji tries to scale the wall to get back to the upper floor, but a detective catches up and yanks her down. She scrambles to her feet to run again, only to be tackled by another officer. She kicks one off, pulls off a perfect shoulder throw on another, and slams him into the pavement. She struggles to break free, but the detectives react quickly, pinning her to the ground. They start piling on top of each other like a human Jenga tower, crushing Suji underneath. From the bottom of the pile, you can hear her desperate, muffled screams and her final, helpless struggle. In the end, Suji is officially busted. By the time Duhan arrives, it's already too late. In front of everyone, he's forced to keep up his villain act, which results in Suji spitting right in his face. Eunjung hands Suji over to a male detective for transport. However, what he doesn't know is that this cop is actually a mole, a hitman planted in the department by Sunro. His mission: assassinate Suji. He drives her to a deserted, isolated spot, hands her a key, and tells her to unlock her own handcuffs and run. It's a classic setup, so he can claim he shot her during an escape attempt. But he seriously underestimated Suji's grit. While his guard is down, she lunges at him and starts a brutal struggle. At the same time, with Kyung-soo's help, Duhan is racing to the location. Before he even gets close, a gunshot rings out. Suji has been hit. She manages to shove the corrupt cop away, but her injury is critical. She doesn't get far before she collapses into the dirt. Behind her, the mole spots the trail of blood and begins closing in, step by step. In this do-or-die moment, Duhan finds Suji just 1 second before the killer does. As Duhan scoops her up to carry her away, he finds himself staring down the barrel of the mole's gun. It's an incredibly awkward and dangerous standoff. Sunro's loyal lapdog versus the man who's been playing double agent right under Sunro's nose, proving why he's the leader of the Watchers. Duhan manages to terrify the corrupt cop into backing off with just a few chilling words. Duhan rushes Suji to a stairwell, uses his handkerchief to apply pressure to her wound, and calls Bowie with their exact coordinates. Not surprisingly, Suji is rescued, and the trio is finally reunited. But there's a massive catch. Bowie's lair, the safe house Suji used to watch Sherwan, and even Duhan's cover have all been blown. And it's all because Bowie was too paralyzed by fear to leave the house earlier. But the drama isn't over. After Bowie returns to Kyung-soo's place, she hatches a reckless plan. She posts a status update online to bait the killer, then drugs Suji with sleeping pills, steals her gun, and heads back to her old house alone. Blinded by a desperate need for revenge, this silly girl wants to settle the score by herself. When Jin-gu sees Bowie's post, he's ecstatic. It's like a gift from heaven delivered right to his door. He rushes to Bowie's house, but the second he steps inside, Bowie has him at gunpoint. Jin-gu fakes a surrender and starts spilling the tea on what really happened years ago. He reveals that the mastermind behind the entire massacre was actually Bowie's own uncle, Ju-won. He had been bitter for years because Bowie's father used their grandfather's money to start the restaurant. In a fit of jealous rage, he teamed up with the GIs and Jin-gu to heartlessly slaughter Bowie's entire family. Afterward, he used his status as her guardian to sell the business and live a life of luxury. But because he cheated Jin-gu out of his fair share, Jin-gu ended up strangling him to death. Hearing the truth, that her own flesh and blood was the monster, sends Bowie into an emotional tailspin. Jin-gu catches this exact moment of weakness. While Bowie is still in shock, he swats the gun right out of her hand. But just as he's reaching for the weapon, Bowie catches him off guard and blasts him right in the face with pepper spray. By the time Jin-gu can even see again, Bowie has already called the police. The cops arrive quickly, but the mole, that corrupt male detective who got there first, sends them away. He's been tracking Jin-gu for a long time, and he's using Bowie as bait to lure Suji out of hiding. Little does he know, Suji is actually nearby watching everything. She's too smart to fall for such an obvious trap. But what can she do? Bowie is in serious danger. Kyung-soo isn't about to stand by and watch his girl get hurt. He immediately hacks into the Seoul Journalists Association system and sends out a mass alert. Within minutes, a massive swarm of reporters descends on the building. With cameras flashing and long-lens mics everywhere, the corrupt cop is so overwhelmed, he looks like he's ready to have a total meltdown under the spotlight. Inside the house, Jin-gu finally breaks through the bedroom door. He pulls a small knife from behind his back, ready to finish Bowie off with a smug grin on his face. But just as he's about to strike, Suji bursts in. She grabs Jin-gu by the head and drags him out of the room like a sack of potatoes. Bowie manages to grab the gun back and fires 2 shots. Bang! Bang! Unfortunately, her aim is terrible and she doesn't hit a thing, but it's enough to scare the daylight out of Jin-gu. While he's still stunned, Suji steps in and delivers a perfect shoulder throw, knocking him unconscious. By the time he wakes up, Eun-jung is standing over him with an arrest warrant. Now, let's go back several years to where this all began. Back then, Kyung-soo was still in his mother's womb. The villainous Sunro used the safety of her entire family to blackmail Kyung-soo's mother into giving false testimony in court. Because of her lie, a man named Shin-hyuk was sentenced to 6 years in prison. After his release, Shin-hyuk was a broken man, living like a hollow shell of himself until he met a single mother. Both of them had sons. Shin-hyuk's son was named Guan Wu, and the woman's son was named Du-han. These two broken families merged into one, and for a while, Shin-hyuk actually found the courage to live again. But this hard-earned happiness was shattered one morning. While out for a stroll, Shin-hyuk crossed paths with Sunro. He could never forget the face of the man who had brutally tortured him. The trauma triggered something deep in Shin-hyuk's mind. Under the influence of alcohol, his PTSD took over, and in a state of madness, he strangled his wife to death. When Du-han came home from school, his mother was already gone. All of this was the direct result of the psychological scars Sunro left behind. Here's the big twist. The Du-han we know is actually Guan Wu. To get close to Sunro, he and the real Du-han swapped identities. After Guan Wu became a prosecutor, he tracked down Kyung-soo's mother, hoping she would finally tell the truth and clear his father's name. Overcome with guilt, she agreed to help, which led to the case being reopened. But shortly after, she vanished without a trace. While everyone fears the worst, Kyung-soo is still holding onto a tiny sliver of hope. Guan Wu tells the team that Sunro's right-hand man, Byung-jae, is the one behind all the dirty work. He's the one who planted the note in Woo-sung's food, the one who let Woo-sung escape, the one who beat Guan Wu's father, and very likely the one who murdered Kyung-soo's mother. But Byung-jae is incredibly cautious. Every time he talks to Sunro on the phone, he records the conversation as insurance. To trap him, Kyung-soo leaks a fake news story claiming his mother is still alive. After seeing the news, a panicked Byung-jae immediately calls the newspaper. But guess who's on the other end? It's Kyung-soo and Bowie. They pull off a flawless performance, baiting Byung-jae right into their trap. Meanwhile, Guan Wu isn't just sitting around. He meets with Byung-jae and starts adding fuel to the fire, telling him the investigation into Kyung-soo's mother's case is heating up and asking pointedly if all the evidence has really been destroyed. On the other hand, he's playing a dangerous game of divide and conquer. He starts trash-talking Byung-jae right to Sunro's face, successfully driving a massive wedge between the two. Byung-jae, feeling the heat and getting paranoid, does exactly what Guan Wu expected. He panics and runs to destroy the evidence. But Suji is right on his tail. She corners him and gives him a world-class beatdown. During the struggle, a mysterious bundle falls into the water. Byung-jae tries to use the distraction to bolt, but Suji tackles him and pins him to the dirt. Kyung-soo rushes over, watching the bundle sink. He dives in and pulls it out, but the second he sees what's inside, his mother's towel, his heart shatters into a million pieces. The pain is unbearable. He collapses right there, clutching the towel and sobbing uncontrollably. Suji immediately calls Sun-ae to bring in the cavalry. With both the witness and the physical evidence secured, Byung-jae is officially cooked. Have you ever seen a smile that looks more painful than crying? Guan Wu is about to give us a masterclass in that, right in front of his boss. He finally drops the act and lays all his cards on the table. The cases of Woo-sung, Jin-gu, Byung-jae, and Shin-hyuk, they all lead back to Sunro. And the reason they all got caught? It was all orchestrated by the mastermind himself, Guan Wu. First, Guan Wu used the Woo-sung case to force Sunro's left-hand man, the Baldy, to resign, clearing a path for his own promotion. Then, he fanned the flames in front of Sunro, backing the Baldy into a corner. After that, he played the good guy, using a mix of comfort and manipulation to turn the Baldy into a key witness for the hearing. As for Sunro's right-hand man, Byung-jae, Guan Wu pulled the strings until the bond between him and Sunro snapped. Guan Wu's goal was simple: chop off all of Sunro's limbs and leave him completely isolated. Now, both of his top henchmen have turned into witnesses. This isn't just a plan, it's a Grandmaster-level chess game. But Sunro isn't going down without a fight. He quickly recruits a high-ranking judge to act as Byung-jae's lawyer. This just happens to be the same judge who presided over Shin-hyuk's case years ago. To cover up his own past mistakes, the judge has no choice but to help. He visits Byung-jae in prison and uses his family's safety to blackmail him into staying silent, or worse. The only hard evidence left is the recording on a phone, but it's protected by a massive 16-character password. Even for a genius like Kyung-soo, cracking that would take a year. Ultimately, the judge walks away with the phone. Meanwhile, Sunro uses a massive pile of cash to buy back Baldy's loyalty. Things go from bad to worse the night before the hearing. Sunro abuses his power, using a legal technicality to have Guan Wu arrested. They even bring in the son of Duhan's foster father, demanding a DNA test to prove the identity swap. If the results come back positive, Guan Wu is disqualified from the hearing. The hearing kicks off exactly as scheduled. Sunro is acting like the star of the show, surrounded by cameras and supporters. He raises his hand and confidently swears an oath to the heavens. He knows that if he clinches the top position, he'll be untouchable, and his crimes will be buried forever. But if he fails, he's headed for a bottomless abyss. Representative Cha takes the first shot, bringing Bowie's case into the light. But she doesn't realize that the Baldy has already been bought. When she calls him as a witness, the greedy snake is just chilling at home with his legs crossed, smirking at the TV. With none of the 3 promised witnesses showing up, Representative Cha is losing her mind with frustration. Just as Sunro is about to claim victory, the heavy doors of the hall slowly creak open. Walking in is none other than Guan Wu. Sunro is absolutely stunned. Guan Wu is supposed to be locked in an interrogation room. How on earth did he get out? To find out, we have to go back 9 hours. After Guan Wu revealed his true colors to Sunro, he met up with Suji. Together, the team mapped out a counter-strategy. He knew Sunro would try to block him from the hearing, so he had an ace up his sleeve the whole time. The plan was to prove that Guan Wu and the real Duhan had swapped identities, which would allow them to arrest him for forgery. Knowing this, Guan Wu had Suji pull a fast one at the hospital and swap the DNA samples. So, when the paternity results hit the police station, they obviously came back as a no-match. But the cops weren't about to let Guan Wu walk that easily. Their only mission was to stall him and make sure he missed the hearing. So, they pulled another excuse out of thin air, claiming the phone found in Guan Wu's car had an illegal burner SIM. According to them, he was now under arrest for violating electronic communication laws. So, how did Guan Wu get out? Don't forget our boy Kyung-soo. He's a top-tier genius hacker. He had already breached the interrogation room's CCTV system, and for him, faking a digital identity authentication is a walk in the park. Even though the cops were fuming, they had no choice but to let Guan Wu go. At the hearing, Guan Wu takes the witness stand and finally spills the tea on all of Sunro's dirty laundry, recounting everything that happened to Suji's team and his own father. He drops a bombshell. He actually witnessed the murder of Suji's daughter with his own 2 eyes. He admits he could have stopped it, but because he was so blinded by his obsession with avenging his father, he hesitated and missed the golden window to save her. He's been carrying that crushing guilt ever since, often going to church to confess his sins to the real Duhan. But Sunro doesn't even blink. He's as cool as a cucumber. First, he brings in the Baldy to give false testimony. Then, he uses the fake DNA results to claim Guan Wu isn't even Shin Hyuk's son. He even points out that Guan Wu is nowhere to be seen in the video of the girl's fall. The accusation backfires, and Sunro starts biting back, mocking Guan Wu for having 0 physical evidence. Just as everyone thinks Sunro is about to clinch the win, the heavy doors of the hall swing open yet again. And you won't believe who walks in. It's Byung-jae, the man everyone thought was dead. Talk about a plot twist. Sunro's face goes completely pale, while Guan Wu flashes a triumphant smirk. Turns out that on the day Byung-jae tried to end it all, he was actually saved. To turn him into the ultimate witness, Guan Wu used a smoke and mirrors play. He had the team lead announce that Byung-jae was dead. This move did 2 things. It kept Byung-jae safe, and it allowed him to see Sunro's true, heartless colors. At the hearing, Byung-jae spills everything. He confesses that he was the one who arrested and tortured Guan Wu's father. He admits to kidnapping and murdering Kyung-soo's mother. And the mastermind behind it all? Sunro. Sunro, who was so calm just moments ago, finally starts losing his mind. He begins a frantic defense, clinging to the argument that it's all just he said, she said with no hard proof. He refuses to confess no matter what. But don't forget, Byung-jae's phone still has those recordings. Is it game over for Sunro? Not yet. Sun-ae gets a devastating update. The audio files on the server were wiped, and the physical phone was stolen. A guaranteed win just got flipped on its head by Sunro. What now? Are we really going to let this devil take the throne? Just then, a missed call on Sun-ae's phone breaks the stalemate. To Suji. She tells Sun-ae to stall the hearing no matter what, because she has the smoking gun evidence of Sunro's crimes. Here's the crazy part. It turns out Eun-jung is actually the son of that high-ranking judge. Eun-jung managed to swap the phone and grab the password from his father, then passed it to Duhan, who got it to Suji. To make sure the monster Sunro pays for his sins, Eunjung had to literally throw his own father under the bus. But Sun-A is just a low-level team lead. She barely has the authority to be in the room, let alone stop the proceedings. In the final buzzer-beater moment, it all comes down to Kyung-soo. He hacks directly into the hearings broadcast system to play the evidence for the whole world to hear. Right as the committee is about to drop the final verdict, Byung-jae's recordings start blasting through the speakers. There's no escaping it now. With this ironclad evidence, Sunro, the mastermind behind a laundry list of crimes, finally hits the pavement. The big bad is down, the debt is paid, and everyone can finally take a long overdue sigh of relief. But the victory lap is short-lived, because next up is his son, Sherwan. This monster with a human face has been lying low ever since he killed Suji's daughter, but he's already back to his sick games. We see a girl trapped in a cramped, dark room. Her phone has zero signal and pure panic is setting in. She's pounding on the door and screaming for help, but it's no use. There on the school's rooftop, a place nobody ever visits. As time ticks away, the oxygen starts running out. Exhausted and drenched in sweat, she collapses on the floor, staring at a bomb ticking right in front of her. She breaks down into gut-wrenching sobs. Her life has barely started. Is it really going to end like this? Flashbacks start flooding her mind. This is Se-won, a high school student. Because her mom is a cop, her classmates labeled her a snitch and totally iced her out. While the other kids were together in art class, she'd hide in a corner, secretly sketching the boy of her dreams, Sherwan. Because of the constant bullying, she was used to being alone and would shyly look away whenever she saw him. But her behavior caught Sherwan's attention. He started making moves, accidentally crossing paths with her. He played the part of the perfect gentleman, helping her with heavy bags, standing up to bullies, and even carefully cleaning her wounds. For a lonely girl like Se-won, this kindness was everything. She fell for him instantly. They became inseparable, studying art, sharing snacks, and walking home together every day. One day, Sherwan invited her over. While there, Se-won discovered a hidden painting within a painting. Curiosity got the better of her, but the second she saw the true image, her face went pale. She was so terrified she bolted out of the house. When Sherwan realized she'd seen his true art, he didn't panic. He just let out a chilling, sinister smirk, like he couldn't care less. The next day, Sherwan tracked her down, playing the victim to lure her to the rooftop for a meeting. She knew he was a beast, so she refused. But then he sent her a love letter. Her naive, sweet heart couldn't help it. She went. But when she got to the roof, Sherwan was nowhere to be found. Instead, she heard strange noises coming from a small, dark room. Like a moth to a flame, she stepped inside. The second her foot crossed the threshold, the door was slammed and locked from the outside. By the time she realized what happened, it was too late. He'd placed an under construction sign on the door and a signal jammer at the entrance. Even with his father behind bars, this kid was already calculating his next move. Talk about like father, like son, this kid might be even more twisted. Suddenly, Sun-A receives a horrific text. A photo of her daughter, Se-won, trapped in that room. The message is an ultimatum. Bring Suji to the location and kill her, or the daughter dies. Sun-A rushes to the meeting point with Suji, and that's when Sherwan video calls them. He wants to force Sun-A to execute her best friend. But Sun-A is paralyzed. On one side is her sister in everything but blood. On the other is her own child. It's a literal life or death choice. The weight of it breaks her instantly. She collapses to her knees, begging Sherwan for mercy. But her tears don't move him. In fact, he seems to enjoy it. Suji knows that begging a monster is useless. She knows Sherwan's real target is her. Looking at her broken best friend, Suji makes a split-second decision. She grabs the gun from Sun-A's hand and prepares to end her own life to save the girl. A chaotic struggle for the gun breaks out. By the time Guan Wu manages to rush over, it's too late. Suji has been shot and collapses to the ground. Fortunately, the bullet missed her vital organs, but she is still left with a severe injury. Realizing that Suji survived, Sherwan is absolutely livid. In a fit of rage, he slams the detonator to activate the bomb and heads straight to the scene. It's the ultimate showdown. Bitter enemies meeting on a narrow path, and their shared hatred is reaching a boiling point. Sun-A grabs the gun, wanting nothing more than to empty a whole magazine into him. But when she sees that detonator in his hand, she freezes, not daring to make a move. Meanwhile, thanks to Kyung-soo's intel, the police have located where Se-won is being held. But with a bomb on the line, every officer has to treat each step like they're walking on eggshells. After fumbling for what feels like an eternity, they finally breach the door in full tactical gear, only to find the room completely empty, except for a bundle of fireworks sitting on the floor. The real victim is actually in the building across the street. It turns out that when Se-won was lured to the roof that day, she'd seen Sherwan on the opposite rooftop. This small room was just another sick, twisted joke by Sherwan. Realizing they've been played, Kyung-soo sprints to the opposite rooftop. He finds the signal jammer and, without a second thought, uses his master key to throw the door open. By now, Se-won has already passed out from the lack of oxygen. But just as Kyung-soo is about to carry her out, Sherwan heartlessly presses the button. A massive explosion rocks the air, hitting everyone there like a physical punch to the heart. Sun-ae is completely hollow, collapsing to the ground in grief. Everything is drowned in sorrow. Meanwhile, Sherwan lets out a full-blown devilish smirk, looking absolutely triumphant. Even without a hostage, his arrogance is off the charts. But then, Bowie relays a message to Guan Wu. Kyung-soo and Se-won are alive and safe, and she's already been rushed to the hospital. The second he hears this, the smug grin on Sherwan's face literally freezes. He's blinded by a psychotic rage. While everyone is still in shock, he lunges at Suji, planning to take her down with him in a final death pact. At the absolute last second, Guan Wu shoves Suji out of the way and goes over the edge with Sherwan. Sherwan dies on impact, while Guan Wu is left in critical condition. In the end, Suji decides not to return to the police force. She stays with the Watchers, choosing her own path to punish evil and protect the innocent. Their new inside man providing intel? It's none other than Eun-jung. Guan Wu eventually resigns from his post, occasionally dropping by to catch up and grab a drink with Eun-jung. As for Kyung-soo and Bomi, they finally get to live a happy life together. And that brings us to the end of this movie. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.